My respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah Azza wa Jal, He says in the Quran on multiple occasions, إِنَّ فِي اخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَمَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَّقُونَ. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, certainly, indeed, no doubt about it, in the alternation of the day and the night, and whatever Allah has created in the heavens and in the earth, there is indeed a sign for people of faith, for people of sound mind, for the believers. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, إِنَّ فِي اخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ. In the alternation of the day and the night, there is a sign for the believers. In other words, Monday and Monday night, Tuesday night. And as the weeks go by, as the months go by, as the seasons go by, there is immense signs and reminders from Allah to His slaves. In each one of these signs, there is evidence to the oneness of Allah Azza wa Jal. And so now, we are living in the season of winter. And winter is a sign from the miraculous signs of Allah Azza wa Jal. The believer must reflect and ponder. What is Allah reminding us when He brings us this very cold season? What is it all about? And how does the believer make the most of this season? My brothers and my sisters in Islam, when winter approaches and it comes, it brings intense cold with it. And it becomes very uncomfortable for so many of us. In fact, for some, they experience pain in their bodies as a result of very low temperatures. What is winter? And why did Allah Azza wa Jal decree this season once a year? My brothers and my sisters in Islam, winter reminds us of death. When a person dies, he loses his warmth, he becomes cold. Cold reminds us of death. When we sleep, and sleep is similar to death, it's like the minor death. When we sleep, our body temperature decreases, it drops, and it reminds us of death. And when the winter comes, it brings cold with it, and this cold reminds us of death. You will find in the season of winter, even animals disappear from the surface of the earth, and they go deep into their burrows, into their hiding, and they hibernate. You will find the plants, they go through a stage that is known as dormancy. In other words, they don't die, but they stop growing. It's like they are dead. Everything goes missing, and everything goes inside, indoors. It's like the entire earth and where you live as winter is being brought out, it's like everything has died. In fact, studies also mention that winter is the season in which many people die. Most deaths of the year, they occur in winter. And if you were to ask any doctor or nurse that work in the emergency rooms and in the hospitals, they'll tell you the season of winter is the season in which we see so many patients coming in. A lot of people die in this season because of respiratory illnesses and other matters. Then comes spring afterwards. After winter comes spring. Spring is the beginning of life. Spring reminds us of life and how Allah Azza wa Jal brings life about. So you will find in spring that the animals begin to come out of their hibernation, and the plants begin to open up. And you will find also it is a season in which humans give birth and animals give birth in this season more than other seasons. Spring. Spring is a stage. It's the stage in life where we're starting life. That's what it reminds us of. After spring comes summer. And summer, this is where everything has reached its peak. So you find the earth is warm, full of life. People are out of their homes. The animals are out and about hunting and mating and giving birth to young ones. You'll even find the plants have grown to their full and they're giving fruits and crops and so on. It reminds us of the peak of life. That's what summer is. And after summer comes autumn. And autumn now, everything begins to age and settle. So the plants begin to drop their leaves. The animals are doing their final hunts in preparation for the winter to go into hibernation. And all of a sudden, winter comes again, and everything dies. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, the seasons, Allah Azza wa Jal created them, and they remind us of the stages in life that we go through. We are born, then we grow up, then we reach the peak of our life, that is summer. Then afterwards we get into old age, and we can't even walk straight anymore. We get sick, things become very difficult, that is the autumn, and then we prepare for our death, and that is winter. So this season, winter, reminds us of death. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has mentioned in the hadith something very important about this month. He said, "Ash-shita'u rabi'ul mu'min." What a beautiful hadith. It's made of 3 words, and it teaches us exactly how to make the most of it. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, "Ash-shita'." Shita is the name for winter. The winter is the Rabi' of the believer. Rabi' is the Arabic name for the season of spring. So in this hadith he's saying winter is the spring of the believer. What does that mean? Winter is the spring of the believer. In other words, winter, this month of cold and death, it should be the spring of the believer. And we said spring reminds us of the start of life and the growth of things. In other words, when winter approaches and your body becomes cold and numb, you have to revive al-iman and bring spring to the heart. The season of winter is the spring of the heart of the believer. The heart begins to warm up, and it grows in its relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. How so? Pay attention to how. In the continuation of the hadith, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, طال ليله فقامه وقصر نهاره فصامه. Because its nights are long, so the believer very easily can wake up and pray some of the night. And its days are very short, so it is very easy to commit to fasting during the days of winter. And with the night prayer and the fasting, that is how you bring spring, life, growth, development in your relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. How beautiful is this hadith? Puts everything into perspective in terms of what the believer needs to do during the month of winter. My brothers and sisters in Islam, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made a specific mention of the night prayer during winter. Pay attention. How easy is it to pray the nights in winter? The night is very long. Let's say you went to sleep at 10 p.m. That's 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say you slept 7 hours and you woke up at 5. You still have an hour until Adhanul Fajr. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said in al-hadith, he said, يَضْحَكُ اللَّهُ إِلَى رَجُلَيْنِ رَجُلٌ قَامَ مِنْ لَيْلَةٍ بَارِدَةٍ مِنْ فِرَاشِهِ وَلِحَافِهِ وَدِثَارِهِ فتوضأ ثم قام إلى الصلاة فيقول الله عز وجل لملائكته ما حمل عبدي هذا على ما صنع فيقولون ربنا رجاء ما عندك وشفقة مما عندك فيقول فإني قد أعطيته ما رجاء وأمنته مما يخاف. What a beautiful hadith. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that Allah laughs towards a person. And if Allah was to laugh towards a person, that person has guaranteed to earn Allah's mercy, forgiveness and pleasure in this life and in the afterlife. Who is this person that Allah laughs towards and is pleased with him? Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, a person who rises from his bed on a cold night, leaving his bed, leaving his blanket, and leaving his warm covering. Then he performs al-wudu, and then he stands in prayer, and he prays whatever Allah allows him to pray, 2 rak'at, 4 rak'at, as long as he does the salat. Then Allah Azza wa Jal says to His angels, as you are doing this, He says to them, my angels, why has my slave woken up and done such a thing? Why did he leave his warmth and make wudu and stand in salat? They say, oh Allah, he is hoping for what is with you of reward, and he fears what is with you of punishment. So then Allah Azza wa Jal says to the angels, I have guaranteed my slave what he hopes for. I've given him what he wants, and I have saved him from that which he fears. Allahu Akbar. Yani this hadith is teaching you why you should be getting up. We should be getting up hoping for reward from Allah Azza wa Jal. We should also be getting up fearing the punishment that Allah Azza wa Jal has prepared for the wrongdoers and the disbelievers. My brothers and sisters in Islam, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam once he said, ألا أدلكم على ما يمحو الله به الخطايا ويرفع به الدرجات. Shall I inform you all of that which Allah Azza wa Jal erases the sins through? He's saying to the companions, would you like to know of certain deeds you can do that will erase sins? And it would raise you ranks in the paradise and in the sight of Allah? They said, Bala, of course, tell us, what is it? He said to them, إسباغ الوضوء على المكاره. He said to them, to perfect al-wudu despite the intense cold, despite the difficulties. That's the first thing. Because when you want to wake up at night, you have two problems. The first problem is that you're going to leave the warmth of the bed. When you recall this hadith that Allah laughs towards someone who leaves the cold, the warmth of his bed, it motivates you to get up. Then the other problem you have is the cold water, that now you're going to bring cold to your body. And that could be discomfortable for many of us. Here, you recall this hadith, that when you perfect and complete wudu with all its sunan and obligations, despite the cold, that is a means in how Allah wipes away sins and raises a person levels in the paradise. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, فَذَلِكُمُ الرِّبَاطِ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam described this action of making wudu in the intense cold as a ribat. Ribat, it's basically one of the most noble deeds you can do in Islam. A ribat is for a believer to stand on the borders between the believer's land and the non-believer's land, to stand on the borders and guard them so that no disbeliever goes through and enters the land of the Muslims. That is what al-ribat is. It's a form of jihad fi sabilillah. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam referred to al-wudu during the intense cold as al-ribat. Why? What's the understanding here? The understanding is that the one who does that, makes wudu in the cold days and nights, in the winter, he protects his heart from a shaitan. Allah Azza wa Jal gives him protection of the heart. Just like al-murabit, al-mujahid, doesn't allow the disbelievers to enter the land of the believers, then this action of wudu at night, by the permission of Allah, will give barrier to the heart so that the devil doesn't enter the heart and create wrongdoing and evil whispering inside of it. Allahu Akbar. And this is all achievable during these nights. Very easy. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentions about the night prayer, saying, alaykum biqiyam al-layl. Adhere to this worship and pray the night prayer. Then he lists its benefits, and it's very achievable in winter. He said, فَإِنَّهُ دَأْبُ الصَّالِحِينَ قَبْلَكُمْ. It is the practice of the righteous ones before you. It is a sign of righteousness that a person gets up at night and prays even 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's number one, a sign of righteousness and piety. He said number two, وَقُرْبَةٌ إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. It is a means to draw nearer to Allah. But this is what we want. And the only purpose in life we have is to draw nearer to Allah through righteous deeds. And if you become near to Allah, Allah Azza wa Jal begins to love such a person. As Al-Hadith Al-Qudsi mentions, that a slave continues to draw nearer to me until I love him. And this is what we want. We want to earn Allah's love. Number three, And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, وَمَنْهَاتٌ عَنِ الْإِثْمِ. And this night prayer, it prevents a person from sin. In other words, Allah will give you strength in the heart to win the battle against a shaitan and your desire every time you are intending or considering a sin. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَتَكْفِيرٌ لِلسَّيِّئَاتِ. The fourth benefit, it erases sins, it wipes them out. And the fifth benefit of this night prayer, he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَمَطَرَدَةٌ لِلْدَاءِ عَنِ الْجِسْمِ. And it drives away illness from the body. Allahu Akbar. Did you know this? Do you know that the night prayer is medicine for the body? Physical medicine. So many people, Allah Azza wa Jal has given them shifa from their sicknesses due to their night prayer. What is it that you have? Diabetes, asthma, cancer, other forms of illnesses that are harboring in your body. And you've done so much and it's still there. Have you tried the night prayer as a remedy and cure? That is Allah Azza wa Jal's promise. And this hadith I told you is the most comprehensive hadith concerning the virtue and the benefit of the night prayer. And in the cold months, it is achievable. Very easy to perform and commit to. Allahu Akbar. How beautiful is that? Even this season of winter that reminds us of death, bring it to life. Bring it to life with as-salat in its nights. And then my brothers and my sisters in Islam, the second easy activity of this month is fasting. As-siyam. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he spoke about fasting in winter. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, الصوم في الشتاء الغنيمة الباردة. What a beautiful hadith. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, fasting the days of winter is the cold spoils of war. He called it al-ghanima. But do you know what al-ghanima is? What is al-ghanima? Al-ghanima is the possession of the disbelievers that the believers take from the battlefield as the disbelievers run away. So when the believers are at war with the disbelievers and the disbelievers are defeated, they drop all their possession and they run away. That possession that remains on the ground, scattered, sword, shield, money, whatever it is, that's all for the believers. And that's called a ghanima. Yani ghanima is something the believers take without effort. Well, they didn't work for this, but it's halal, take it. Take it and enjoy it. For Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says fasting is the ghanima of winter. In other words, it is easy to do. It doesn't require any effort. Like in summer, the days are long and people get thirsty from the beginning of the day. Winter is opposite to this. Its day is short. And when you get up, you're not feeling thirsty and tired. And by the time Adhan al-Maghrib is called, you're not even hungry. But you've taken the reward of a fasting person. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says about fasting itself, he says, كُلُّ عَمَلِ ابْنِ آدَمَ يُضَاعَفُ لَهُ الْحَسَنَةُ بِعَشْرِ أَمْثَالِهَا إِلَى 700 ضِعْفٍ. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that all the deeds of Bani Adam are multiplied. Yani every good deed you do of sadaqah and salat and every good deed you do, default it's multiplied by 10 times. That's the generosity of Allah. Any good deed, you read the Quran, one letter is not equal to one hasana. One letter is equal to 10. Every deed, the minimum is 10 times by 10. What a deal. No one will ever offer you anything like this. And it's not seasonal. It's all the time you do a good deed, the minimum is 10. But then watch the generosity of Allah. And Allah Azza wa Jal sometimes could multiply your good deed to up to 700 times. Imagine, sometimes some of us could read a letter of the Quran and not earn 10, you'd earn 700. We don't know who earns this, but Allah Azza wa Jal may multiply to 700. Then the hadith says, except fasting. Except fasting. That is not multiplied by 10, nor by 700. That's special. We got no clue, but it's a lot more than that. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, except fasting, it's for me. It belongs to me. Allah Azza wa Jal ascribed fasting to Him, honoring fasting. So whoever honors fasting and fasts, Allah honors him and gives him a reward beyond 700 times, unimaginable reward. Allahu Akbar. You want to know what type of unimaginable reward? Some hadith gave us a hint and a clue, and they're not near what the actual reward is. In a hadith, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, whoever fasts one day, fi sabilillah, Allah will move his face away from Jahannam 70 years. 70 years. The distance of 70 years. There's no trip on earth you can do today. You go in a flight and they'll tell your brother you'll arrive in 70 years from now. We don't even understand what this distance is. And that's just one day. Imagine 2 days. 140 years. Your face is kept away from Jahannam. When the people on the Day of Judgment have been brought so close to it, and they can hear its roaring, and they can see its flames. Imagine 1 week. And all of this, my brothers and sisters, is achievable in winter. And why do we have to look at fasting as a difficult matter? You only see it difficult because you're thinking of Ramadan or fasting in the summer, and then I didn't have a relationship with fasting afterwards. Wrong. Allah purposely gave us this month so that if we don't fast during the year, at least these are the days you can fast. You know, there's some people that fast every Monday and Thursday. Some people fast every Monday of the year. But if you can't do that, make a commitment. Every winter that comes, I'm going to fast Mondays and Thursdays in winter. That's 3 months. Why not? You don't have to be every year. You can make it seasonal. Every winter is going to be a month in which I fast with that intention that I am drawn away from Jahannam, closer to the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. Subhanallah, what a beautiful hadith. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, وَالصَّوْمُ جُنَّةٌ, fasting is a shield, just like the shield of the soldier, he said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. What does that mean? Yani fasting protects you from al-haram and evil desire. How much are we in need of this worship, especially in this day and age? In the day and age of temptation and desire and haram all around us. Fasting protects the soul from desire. When a person fasts, he doesn't desire al-haram. Subhanallah. This is Allah's mercy upon the one who fasts. The one who's fasting, he's only thinking about al-halal. He's thinking about food. When is al-maghrib going to enter so I can eat something? Think about that all day because that's halal, no problems. You see that? Fasting is like a shield. It protects you from sin, desire, wal haram. And we said the night prayer is also like a ribat. It protects the heart so that the shaitan doesn't enter. So fasting and salat together in winter is the greatest shield you'll ever have against al-haram and filth and sin and desire. And if you train your heart and your soul in this month, who knows? Perhaps Allah Azza wa Jal grants you the ability to continue this after winter. And then you would have earned great success in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. So my brothers and my sisters in Islam, winter, as you all realized, it is a month of preparation for the afterlife. Don't waste its days. Don't waste its nights. Take advantage of its days as it's easy to fast. And take advantage of its nights as it's easy to get up and pray half an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, anything. And you will get all the benefits of the fasting and of the night prayer with very minimal effort. Subhanallah. So the bodies are experiencing cold. We want to keep our hearts warm with as-salat and fasting and righteous deeds. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to accept from us all.